Before we start, though, we usually have on a Thursday morning as a staff, we have a thankful morning. So the kids now do it in classes as well. And so this morning on a Thursday, the staff went to another location this morning to just, express their thankfulness as well. And usually those thankfulnesses are around their family, but more often than not, it is because they are in a setting like this. It's a beautiful Christian setting, and they can teach from their faith, and they are so thankful for that. And also thankful for the opportunity to impart this godly character and wisdom into the children every day. So those are the usual thankfulnesses amongst other as well. And I want to be thankful this morning as well, just for you coming and making some time in your day to come out. And it's not a time where we say, hey, we want to get something from our parents here. We want to inspire you to service and come and volunteer here at school. Nothing of the sort. We really put this together to empower you. I found, even with my walk as a parent, I felt inadequate at times. When things happen, you feel like you're just not qualified to do these things. And I don't think you will ever feel qualified. Ruth is a mum. She's also a chaplain at our Fullerton campus. And no doubt she has got many stories that she can tell you where she failed. And but also through all these failures, I think we get to a point where we can impart some wisdom that we've learned along the way. And not just that, Ruth obviously is very much qualified to speak on this topic. She works with kids almost on a daily basis, and we are thankful that you are here as well to just do this. As you might know, now we don't have any middle school parents here. 1, 2, 3. Last term we got Ruth and Jason. Now Jason is from Temple. He's the chaplain or the wellbeing officer there at Temple Mile End. They came over, and we've just identified some things in the kids that is just a consistent thing. So if there's one thing popping up, we deal with it, we help them, and we move on. But there were just so many things constantly happening, and it is all around this negotiating the digital age. And not sure, now you are all much younger than me, but if you if I have to deal with all these things that they are dealing with these days digitally, it'll do my head in as well. And we just want to say, hey, we are there. We are there to help. We have some resources. Please do not bury your head in the ground like an ostrich and think, I've instilled all these fantastic principles in my child. This is how we think, isn't it? But then these things come around, and they hit us for a 6 when something bad happens. And if we can put things in place before it actually happens. So definitely that is just our heart. We want to just see that we as parents have the ammunition as well, just to see if we can put small things in place. It doesn't have to be the big things, and we don't have to micromanage, and we don't have to look over the shoulder all the time, but there's simple things that we can do, and we just want to touch on some of those things. I haven't even seen what you're going to talk about. Hopefully it is that. But that is it. So Psalm 22 verse 6 says that God is there. We need to teach a child in the way that they need to go, and then it says, when they are old, they would not depart from it. Now, if that is just true from the word go, I would also just say hallelujah. But it is a constant 24/7 job that God has put on your heart as a parent, because it doesn't stop. And we shouldn't say, someday, I just want my child to be out of this phase so that we can enjoy the next phase. That's sometimes the best day of the week, someday, isn't it? Someday we will do this. But let's let's do it now. Let's do it now. If you've got a reception or a grade 1 child, there are things that you can put in place already now. So I'm going to give it over to Ruth to help us understand these things.
So I don't claim to have all the answers. I'm not a trained psychologist. I don't have a doctorate or a master's or anything, a diploma, whatever you call that. But I have a lifelong experience in youth ministry, in a pastoral role in church support, worked in mums groups, kids church, youth ministries, and I also am blessed with 8 children. So I have 4 that I've given birth to, 4 daughters, and then I have 2 sons and 2 daughters that I've been blessed with through marriage. So combined with the 8 children, it is, I kind of think I've learned a thing or 2, but I'm still always learning. So our age range of the children go from almost 33 down to 14. So we have quite a few years of navigating children and teens combined, and adults now as well. So when I was asked to do this presentation, I thought I could come up with a whole lot of flyers, information. I've got folders full of documents that I've saved over the years. I've got so many things that I pulled down that I thought, start with this, start with that, but then I went, actually, I think I'll just make it more of a question and answer time, because otherwise you walk away probably with a whole bunch of information you didn't really need to hear, or a whole bunch of information that you didn't get answers to. So I've got a few things, but I also really want to open it up for questions. Again, like I said, I may not 100% have the answer, and if I don't have the answer, I'm not going to try and make it up. I'll say, this is what I know, this is what I've seen, and perhaps this is an idea. The greatest thing that I've learned in today's day of raising children is the power in being able to have conversations with one another. So we can see, we can read, we can listen to a lot of podcasts, but I think a lot of the most helpful information as well comes with the one anothering when you're navigating a particular stage of life and you go to someone who's in that same stage and go, hey, what do you think? What are you doing? Welcome. There's a seat over here if you like. Can we just open this time in prayer before I go any further? So Lord Jesus, I thank you that you are here with us today. I thank you that you have called us all to be carers and parents to wonderful children that you have put in our care. And Lord, this morning we just really pray that you will help guide the conversations and lead us in our equipping one another to be able to step into this space of raising sound, confident, happy, content children. In your name, amen. So let's see if I can move to this. The teen years. So what should I know? Now, when I say the teen years, I'm also talking about preteen, and as well when you've got younger children, I say brilliant. Because I think the more information that we have, there's a saying that goes, knowledge is power. So I apply that in our parenting realm. So the more things we know, the more things we are aware of. And one quick little tip with teenagers is they always think they know more than us. Yeah. And when it comes to technology, there's a good chance that they probably do. So in some areas they will know, but I think what we have is wisdom in age and life experience. So yeah, when we came to do the teenage talk last term, one of the things I said was some things are new, yes. Some things are different in teenage years, yes. But there's a lot of things that still stood the same as a teenager back when I was a teenager. So it just looks a little bit different. I think the struggle and the big thing that we have as parents today is when we were growing up, there wasn't the use of technology as big. So now where we had to go and talk to our friends face to face, or you had to actually organise places to meet your friend, and if you had to turn up there, and if you didn't turn up, your friend would wait, you know, maybe half an hour, maybe an hour, and then they'd go, maybe you weren't allowed out the house or something happened along the lines and you'd mosey on. But you had to wait till the next day or whenever you saw that friend again to find out why they didn't show up. Welcome. I've got a seat over here if you like. So today, whereas for our children it's constant for them in the digital stage. So even before they get to school, they already know what their friends have done in the last 5 minutes. There's so many crazy apps that are going on that I'm learning new ones all the time, and I don't even investigate them because I just think it's too much. I think I'm just going to move to the next slide, otherwise I'm going to talk too much. So I'll just put this here because, sorry, can you see past me? Oh, you're welcome to move up if you need to. I put this one here because the dad scratching his head going, I don't understand you. I think a big thing of what happens is we have these beautiful little babies. You know, we're holding them, we raise them, we think, oh, you're so cute, and we place them in these different places, we dress them, we take them to these places, we send them to school, and we're like, oh, so cute, love your picture and everything else. And then suddenly they get to a preteen stage and we think, whoa, what happened to you? Like, why are you saying that to me? Or why are you doing that? Or why aren't you so like cute anymore? And suddenly you think, oh, what have I done? I failed as a parent, something's going on, what's going on? There's something wrong. And it starts this roll of questions. Normal, normal stage. But I think the big thing is to remember now around even the young stages, if you've got younger children, I think it's really important to work out what is a value for our family. Because one thing that I think doesn't change is your family household rules and values. So the external may change when children go to a different school. Their friends will change. Their network of influence will change. The internet will change. The so-called influencers that are very big for teens, that will change. So many things will change. But what shouldn't change that much is what's important for your home. One important saying that I love to use and encourage for families is, what is the values of your home? Because with your children, as they begin to grow, a really important saying is, in this house, this is how we treat one another. In this house, this is how we do it. So someone else, some other parents may choose to let their children have their phones in their bedrooms. And so your child might be, well, that's not fair. You know, so-and-so gets to have their phones in their room. In this house, this is the values in our home. This is the rules of our home. Children will bat up against it, and I say that's okay. Because children also, teens, they need a little bit of headbutting. I don't know if I put it in. I think, no, I might have taken it out. I had two goats headbutting in my slides, just to say that it's important for teens to come up against some headbutting with their parents. That helps prepare them, and it helps to show them that it's okay sometimes to have that, you know, resistance. So don't be afraid of that. It's not nice, and sometimes, even me for myself, I've got a 17-year-old daughter at the moment, and we're doing a little bit of that headbutting. And I get the mum guilts and everything else, but it's okay. Okay, so let's take the photo. Everyone smile.
Sorry.
So we've got a bit of the both going on. We've got the I'm not understanding what's going on from the parent, and here we've got the mum getting in, oh, let's have a happy photo, let's make it look like everything's going great. These girls are, I'm suspecting that they're probably not yet in high school or middle school, and so it's okay, but when they get to middle school, yeah, it looks a whole lot different. So things might look beautiful and wonderful, but on the inside, there's a whole lot more going on. One of, while we're on this slide just here, another helpful little hint that I've had with just in general in my own personal raising of children is sometimes when you are in it, it's really, really hard to see outside of it. And when it's so close to you and it's your flesh and blood, sometimes it's really hard to navigate and guide when there's a bit of resistance or when there's something different going on. I want to encourage you, when you are feeling like you're in that place where you're thinking, oh, it's really hard, they're not listening to me, they're not doing what I'm asking them to do, something's changing in them, so-and-so is doing this, so-and-so is doing that, and it's all too hard. Take that moment to go to another close friend, maybe someone, or even if they're not a close friend, somebody who you know that's navigating that stage, and say, this is what I'm experiencing, what do you reckon? Because during that space, it's equipping you as a parent. It's removing the personal attachment of, I don't know where to go with this. And sometimes just a word, a sentence, or someone saying, well, you're the mum, you're the dad, so you just speak into it. Suddenly you go, yeah, sure, yeah, okay, I'll go and do that. I have found that so many moments where I've gone, I just don't know what to do, and I've gone and asked that question to someone and they've gone and said it, I've been able to walk away with confidence, but also insight. Really important. So in that area, internet, searching the internet and trying to find out some ideas of what some other people may say can be helpful. But I think the most helpful thing in that situation is someone who's close to you, who can directly encourage and support you. Again, that first saying, knowledge is power. So in that moment, it's empowering you as the parent with somebody who's a close friend, because you know they're going to be able to follow you up. Or you're going to be able to go back to that person and say, hey, I tried what you said, and this was the outcome. And then they might go, oh, that's fantastic. Like maybe, oh, did you think about, doing this? And then suddenly you're like, oh, great, I've got the next step, and I know where to go next. Any questions so far? No. Teens will develop self-control and responsibility to the extent that their parents have healthy boundaries. Sometimes we think, oh, I've got these boundaries, but I don't really think about them. I've got a guardrail picture there. So when you start teaching your child to drive, it's a very scary encounter. That day that you go from your child sitting in the passenger seat to suddenly you hand them the keys and they're sitting in the driver's seat, and you're sitting in the passenger seat looking at your child going, whoa, they're driving like this lethal weapon. And I'm feeling really nervous. I found when you come up to skinny roads and there's a guardrail, your blood pressure rises quite quickly. The confident thing I have in that is that I'm closest to that guardrail, and we might get a scratch across the side of the car, but at least there's a guardrail that keeps us closely in this side of the road, except for if the car comes the other way. Healthy boundaries for us. So in your conversations, whether it be your spouse, whether it be another parent, whether it be a grandparent, an auntie, or whoever it may be, I want to encourage you to think about, what are my boundaries? What am I doing for myself? When do I turn my phone off? When do I, when am I eating? When am I exercising? When am I taking care of myself? What's coming out of my mouth? Am I being quick to listen and slower to speak? Or am I always responding to my child instead of taking a moment to sit and listen? Our boundaries are really important, because even if the teens don't think that they're listening or watching, they are. So they'll develop self-control and responsibility to the extent that their parents have healthy boundaries. So if I'm sitting on my phone, when the children are home, kids are home, teens are home, if I'm sitting on my phone scrolling for ages, watching YouTube clips, looking at emails on my phone, and every time they try and tell me something, I look up for a moment and then I go back to it, that's the boundary that I'm setting, that it's okay to do that. So I try really try a lot. Now I'm not very techno savvy, and I intentionally don't have notifications and everything on my phone, so I don't have constant beeps. I do have the alert SA beep, so sometimes if my watch goes off now and you hear an alert on my watch, that's because I have live in a fire area, so I just make sure that I have that going on as well, which is quite annoying. Sometimes I do turn it off. So I only have messages and like phone that come through on alert on my phone. It's a boundary for me. I also found that constant interruptions, beep, 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 gave me anxiety, and constantly made me look at things and feel like I've got interruptions. So working out our own boundaries, whether you discuss that with your spouse, whether you discuss that with a friend, knowing what your boundaries are super, super important. And like I said before, the guardrails are designed to keep us safe inside. But the guardrails will hurt if we get too close to them, but they'll still keep us safe on the inside. So sometimes in our parenting, we'll feel like banging our head against the brick wall and you'll feel like this is so frustrating, or you'll want to say something, but you just know, no, at this point, I need to stay behind the guardrail and I just need to wait. And sometimes that can be really super hard. Sometimes when you have to act and stand on the other side of that, closer into that guardrail, it can hurt a little bit. But again, like I said, the importance of talking to one another is really supportive and helpful. Skip that bit. So what's the biggest misconception adults have about teens and their phones? This was a question that I just realised I forgot to get the answers from. I gave it out to the middle schoolers to see what the students had, what their thoughts were on this question, because I ran a survey over at Fullerton with grade 6 students. We did this transitioning into high school, a day event where I had some previous Sunrise students came back and sat on a panel and answered questions for our current grade 6s about things they wanted to know about high school. To my surprise, I left a little box in the classroom with little pieces of paper to write on. There was 96 questions that came from these grade 6s about what things they wanted to know about high school. Now, some of them were repetitive, but I thought, wow, 96 questions about moving into high school, questions that they wanted answers to. I thought, how fantastic a moment is this to be able to sit, and as I looked through them and I typed them all out, and then when we had a parent session like we are now, I offered to give all those questions out to the parents so that they could see what their children had asked. So I ran this question because I know for teens, they think us adults are always on about their devices. And we're always asking them about put your phone away, or don't be on your computer, or what are you doing there? And there's so much going on. But these kids live in this like tech savvy environment world. That is their world, and it's really hard. So they'll often think, rolling of the eyes, that we don't get it, we don't understand. And I am happy to say a lot of the time we don't, because we haven't grown up in it. But we just know the danger points, because we're older, wiser, had this experience. So we know the danger points in the involvement of it all. So I guess I just wanted to open this question, because since I don't have the results, I was hoping to have the results to be able to share with you so that we could know what they said. So what's the biggest misconception adults have about teens and their phones? For a moment, just a couple of moments, I thought it'd be really great just to share, if anyone's got anything to say. What's your experience, thoughts, or what do you think as adults about teens and their phones or even their computers? Because if you have a look here, I've particularly chosen photos which send another message. Probably not really see.
Wrong perspective.
Pardon?
Wrong perspective to life.
Wrong perspective to life? Yeah.
Especially false perspective.
What was that one?
False perspective.
Forced perspective?
False.
Oh, false perspective. Yes. Yeah. 100%. I love it. What I found, if we say to a teenager, well, you know that's false and that's not real life, they will argue. Yeah, because to them it is real, and it is real life to them.
And to them, the person has millions of viewers, so the person is successful.
Very true. Yeah. Any other thoughts, questions around?
For me, if I see my son on the internet, what comes to my mind is he's doing the wrong thing.
Yes.
Then I'm so scared, like dangerous connections, dangerous learning. But it's not always true because it's just about their interest. And I think another thing I guide against having to go into the wrong interest. For instance, when we're back home, I don't see my son getting interested in football, soccer. But these days, I always see him on the computer. What are you doing? I'm watching football, or I'm looking, researching, and looking for mentors around football, football stars, and learning about it. I'm like, okay, is that what we should be learning at this time?
Yeah.
But we're supposed to be doing our homework.
Yes. Yes.
So it gets me worried and concerned, and I interrupt. And I know he doesn't like that because that's where his interest is.
Yes.
So I'm intercepting his interest because I know it's going to make him deviate.
Yeah.
There's time for everything. That becomes our motto in the house. There's time for everything. I'm not saying that's not good,
Yeah.
but it's time for you to be doing that. At this stage, this is where you should be going.
Yeah. Brilliant. And I think around that, sorry, I've forgotten your name.
Covenant.
Covenant? Sorry.
Covenant.
Covenant? A covenant. Yes, thank you. Brilliant thing to bring up just now. Thank you, Covenant. I think in that goes back to a suggestion could be back to the boundaries and values of our home. So it is really hard to put time limits on teenagers because when they've got to do their homework on a computer or a laptop, and then they need their phone for something, usually, it's really hard to time limit that. But kids will swap between things. So he might be watching, like learning about somebody, or football, you said? Yeah. Learning about some football star or how to kick some football or whatever. But he's probably getting distracted with the notifications, text messages, or something else going on at the same time. So I say in this area, this is where it's really important when they're younger to be having open conversations about what that looks like. So, oh, hi, welcome, come on in. There's just around this way, feel free to come across if you like. Holding off your child on a device as long as possible. Now I know that's really tricky. Feel free to come to the couch if you want. Really tricky because once we've given a device to a child, really, really hard to pull back on it. For those that haven't yet given their child their own phone and they're possibly in that stage of moving into middle school shortly, either next year or in the next couple of years, I encourage you now to be thinking about what that looks like with a phone. A phone, I think, always belongs to the parent. So whenever we give this phone to the child, it's always, this is mine. Often the child will go, this is my phone. No, I paid the bill, I bought the phone, I pay for the data on that, it's mine. So talking that around early, super, super important. Because like I said, really hard to take things away. One of the things that we chose to do in our house, when one of my daughters was in year 11, she was always on wanting to watch YouTube, and these influencers that knew everything, she started coming back at us about, well, you don't know mum because you're old
school.
Yeah. You don't know mum because you're not around. You're not around in this day and age. You don't get it. I said, fine, that's okay if I don't get it. But what I don't like is the time that you're wasting on this YouTube bullets of information. So some true, but some is all about getting the followers and all about getting the likes and everything else. Sometimes I think, oh, I should go into being an influencer. I might be able to get a... So we actually disconnected the internet because at that point we discovered that in the family, all of us had enough data on our phones that wasn't being used. So if you needed to use your device to do homework, you had to connect your phone to your own data on the phone. Best decision we ever did. We still don't have internet at our home. Sometimes it's a pain because connecting to your phone sometimes doesn't always work, and like even in my own work computer, I'll go to turn it on and then I think, oh nuts, got to go find my phone so that I can connect to my personal hotspot and log in. We had a lot of, what do you call it, headbutting of like, I didn't have a picture, but of the goats headbutting over the time when we did disconnect and turned off the Wi-Fi, but we decided we wanted to save the $90 a month and decided that was a bill we didn't need to spend because myself and my husband had plenty of data on our phones that we weren't using. So if somebody wanted to watch the smart TV and wanted to watch a movie, we just connected to our phones and used our data. So that was probably, that would be about maybe 3-4 years ago that we did that now, and we haven't missed it. So I have heard on occasions, or have given the suggestion to parents to have time limits on your Wi-Fi, and so that you disconnect the Wi-Fi after 9 p.m. or whatever, and it doesn't go back on again until, I don't know, 8 o'clock in the morning for if they need to check something. So if that's an option for you, then I say that's putting a boundary. So why do we do this? When they headbutt up against you, this isn't fair. No, well, sorry, life's not fair. But for our home, this is a value and a boundary in our home because this is what we're doing to try and keep, keep a little bit inside our family. It also helps establish for the younger children, it helps establish in their mind as well, because children will learn, their brains are like all sponges. And when I'm working with young children, that's a big thing that I say, your brain, one of those big car sponges, that, and most of them have seen those big fluffy car sponges. I go, what happens when you put it in water? And they're like, oh, it gets really heavy and soaked with water. And I'm like, yeah, but how much can you wring out? Heaps, eh? And so in that motion, this is what's going on for our children. They're soaking up everything. And sometimes as parents, we got to wring some things out. And it's hard work because it's not like wringing out the water. It's like wringing out what other people have said, what they've seen, what they've heard, what they've learnt from other people. And that can be really hard to undo. So that's one thing. So what I was saying about holding back on the technology as long as on phones as long as you can. So a lot of parents I say come to me and say, well, my child's finishing year 6 but they're going off to high school next year and they've got to catch public transport. What do I do because I want to give them the phone? The phone choice obviously is up to everyone's decision, and in today's society it's really hard to buy them what is otherwise referred to as a dumb phone, where it's got no connection to Wi-Fi, internet or whatever else. Completely, again, a value and a boundary of the home, but I kind of think it's hard for that child then to navigate in today's world if they've got something that's different with that phone. So if they've got a smartphone, again, I would start with a conversation around this belongs to us as the parents. And age appropriately, I would allow them to put certain things on the phone, but for a very, and again, they will headbutt up again, oh, it's not fair because so-and-so gets it, and they can have, whatever it is, Messenger or whatever it may be that on their phone. Well, that's fine. That's what they're decided in their family, but for our home and our family, this is what we're doing. one of the, there's a lot of parents now are asking or are putting on Find My iPhone if they've got an iPhone, or the Life 360 app, and I think there's a couple of more that come out where you can locate where your child is. And so again, that's a protection thing which kind of helps us. But as your child gets older, 100%, let me assure you, when your child gets to the 15, 16 age and you're looking to see where they're at, and the little blue circle hovers in a spot which is near something that you're like, oh, what are they doing? It can cause you quite a lot of panic. And then when they're out late and they're sleeping over a friend's house and you happen to have a look to see where they're at, it can cause you to lose a lot of sleep. And because you want to get in your car and you want to drive to see where they're at, if that's an option that you do that on your phone, I want to encourage you to wait and use it as information for you. So screenshot on your own phone the location of where they're at. Wait until they come back home, unless of course, you know, obviously if you can see that they're in a really bad spot, well yes, probably need to ring first and say I'm on my way. But if it's somewhere that is, you know, you kind of know who they're with, then I suggest it's use it as information. Pull that information and keep that for yourself, because most of the time as a parent, in your wisdom, you're able to glean that information of what went on. I've just figured that out with my 17-year-old.
Just a question. So when we had a sleepover for my eldest daughter, but then one of the kids had like a full-on iPad, iPhone, fully there the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So we strictly have certain times they're allowed to have their phones.
Yes.
What do you do if it's someone else's kid that takes the opportunity to use those devices when they're at your house? Because it's not, I don't feel like it's my place to tell them off, because it's not my kid.
Yep. So I would start now with a basket at the front door, and with that child's parent, I would say this is the boundaries and the values of our home. That when your child comes for a sleepover, that any devices get left in this basket at the front door. Or better still, they don't bring them.
Yeah.
And because that's, again, they're coming into your home, this is the values of our home. It's really hard when someone does bring in their own thing, and I've found that was tricky because I'd have a parent that would rock up on my doorstep to pick their child up, and I'd be like, oh, is everything okay? And they're like, oh yeah, they just texted me to come and pick them up because they weren't feeling well. I felt terrible because I'm like, well, they seem fine to me. They just ate lunch. I've just, you know, they've been playing and interacting. And so then you're left feeling like, oh, what? Feeling terrible because they're off texting their parent in the bedroom and whoever knows what else. So that was something that I decided.
I do understand doing the basket, but then when you have a child that's in a situation where they don't feel comfortable, I always want my kids to reach out to me.
Yes.
If they don't feel safe at any instance.
Yeah.
If you take that away from them, it takes the opportunity away from the kid by notifying a parent if they feel unsafe by getting them. Again, so I'm in two minds. I don't know, I'm in two minds because I wasn't happy about the fact she was constantly on it.
Yeah.
Because it was too much. And I
Yes.
did at once tell her, listen, I think you need to put it down now. Because
Yeah.
there's 10 girls in this house. Why are you on the phone? Just stop, it's no need. But then again, I don't want to take it away because I want her to always feel like she can always phone her mom if she needs to.
Yeah, well, I think that again, this is I guess I'm sharing into this situation because it was raised. I think again, looking at the parent versus child situation. So as a parent, and if another child is in your care, that child's parent has entrusted you with their child. So as a parent, I like to, just piece of free information, before I let my child go for a sleepover, I would first of all suss out the house that they were going to. So I would invite myself for a coffee. And if my daughters wanted to go for a play date, sure. Can we find out when your mum's going to be home? Maybe I can just stay for a quick coffee. And in that time, my children always knew that I was sussing out the place. I'm watching them to make sure that they feel comfortable, and then maybe we'll move on to a longer play date. So short play date first, and then maybe do a longer play date, and if we're all good. So the conversations with my child, do you feel comfortable there? Do you feel like you can go to the parents if you need me or if you need something? And yeah, to some it was yes, and to those that were no, well then they didn't want to go there. So I do think, again, the parent-child, I am a parent, your parent has entrusted you into my care, so I feel like if that child is feeling uncomfortable, their parent should have been able to say, you can go to Sally's mum and she will call me.
Yeah.
And so I would also make sure that when I had a child come into my care as well for the first time, I would say, I'd get my children to show them around the house if they'd never been before, so they felt comfortable. And then I would say to the child, is there anything, what does mum usually say, or what does dad usually do at night time? Or let me know if you need something. And I'll often say, would you like this or would you like that? So I'm trying to have these conversations while they're there as well, giving them space, but making sure they feel comfortable to come and ask. And then I would tell my children, if your friend is saying that they, need their parent or they need something, then tell them that you'll come and tell me if they don't feel confident to come and tell me. So in that, I feel like that child should feel comfortable without their device.
Yeah.
And if they don't, well then they shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So that's again where I'd go back to the values and boundaries.
I did talk to the mom, and it was just brushed off, like as if it was nothing. And for me, it's a big deal because I would be really cross with my kids if that was one of mine taking advantage of that, which they can't in any case because they've got screen time on, so it's blocked. They can't access it in any case. But I just didn't agree with what.
And I think that this is a really great question. Thank you so much for bringing it up, because these are the conversations that are really, really helpful, because it was real. You didn't feel comfortable, but didn't quite know how to manage the situation. So this is again where I say it's really important to go to another friend, another parent, another person, child's in your child's class as parent, and say, what do you do in this situation? What do you reckon? Any other questions?
What do you suggest when they're wanting to go onto Roblox and a time limit? I mean, it's really hard, I don't know, but I find it difficult to give them that sort of limitation. But what is it, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do people think, like just time limits on games and things like that?
I
And it's
do a
connecting
time limit. I use the kitchen timer with my kids, but I was also gonna ask, with this kitchen timer thing that we set, I told my kids that before you start playing, you have to complete your homework, test your test. Those are all the ultimate rules that we have. But I struggle when he rushes through them, and the quality of work is real bad after that, and it starts to reflect in the grades. So that's.
We've got devices at home only because my kid sometimes needs to use the public transport. So, and having a kid at 9, it's scary for them to take the public bus. So they actually have screen time on. So it blocks them from 7 o'clock at night right through until the next morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. So they only get that hour before or half an hour before school that they can go on their phones, and then from 7 to 8 they can use their phones, and then it blocks it again. So they only get about an hour and a half of their phone through the week, because the rest of the time they've got chores when they get home, they need to do their homework, and not until any of that's done they cannot do anything on their phones.
Is that an app that you
Well, we've got iPhones, so all of the iPhone falls under your family members, and you can actually set a time on when it blocks and when it unblocks, and you set like a code. So I did my date the year I was born, because none of my kids knows that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%.
that.
So I used the year that I was born, and then I'll change it to the year my sister was born and then the year my brother was born because they don't know
Keep
that.
them guessing.
Yes, so they cannot unblock it until they've got that code, and the same goes for apps. So they can't download Snapchat, TikTok, or any of that unless it comes to me to actually say yes, you can have it, and I won't download it if I don't agree with it. And they know, they don't even come and ask me because that again, that's the rule we have. If you want the app, I will approve it. If it's not appropriate for your age, then you're not getting it, and don't even come and ask me for it. It's non-negotiable.
Yeah, good. On that word, non-negotiables and negotiables. In raising teens, really, really helpful language. This is a negotiable. Oh, okay, yeah, we can talk about this. But this is non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So the time, the apps,
Yeah.
this is a non-negotiable.
So same with the chores and homework. It's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
You get home, it has to be done. I don't care if you don't have homework. You get homework. You go and read still. You have to still remain and do something after school.
I get that that they have to do it, but the way that they do it, or my son at least, he just rushes through it. It's almost like I just want to get it over with, and then I'll do other stuff that I really like.
I always explain to the girls, when you do your homework, you need to see it as a body work that you have to dress yourself. Would you dress yourself very untidy, or do you take care of how you look after yourself? Because that's how your homework presents you. If you're going to do untidy homework, that's how you present yourself to your teacher. So I always told the girls, be respectful with what you present, because that's how people are going to look at you at the end of the day. So I think when you start explaining it a bit more to be neater on homework, it also explains on how they present them to. They don't think about it because they're young. They don't care. They just want to go through it. But if you sit and explain it to them, then they understand eventually. It takes a while, but they do get it. It does go in at once.
Trial and error.
It's like repetition. It's like maths. It's just repetition the whole time, and I feel like I repeat myself constantly.
Yeah, I feel like a broken record. And it's such a roller coaster. I don't know what next. Why, what's going on?
It's quite tricky for me though, using the way you dress. I think is a good strategy. But for my kids, they tell you like, Mom, why do you care about how I dress?
It's not so much even how you dress, it's just even, so you take a shower, right? Because you want to smell good, you want to feel good, right? It's exactly the same for your homework. When you do that, you want to feel good, that's what you present. It makes you proud even just doing that. Because you feel good when you get a good grade, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same when it comes to homework, and that's what I've explained to the girls always.
And I think another thing, they do discuss this thing. They go on the internet and say, how can I bypass housework?
Yeah.
The truth is that there is no amount of
Or they'll ask their
restrictions
kids,
you
their friends at
put.
school.
Exactly. My son don't usually know how I get to check his history to know where he's gone to. But now they are aware.
Yeah.
Do you get? Because these are the things they will discuss with their friends when they go out. Oh, my parents doesn't allow me to do this. How can I? They're like, oh, you don't know you can do this. You're not smart, And then they get to do that. I think we might need to go back to the school because I'm really quite anxious that my son is going to have a laptop from school any time next year. Is there a way that school laptop can be set such that they can't go outside the school environment? I know that school has a particular kind of environment or app that they use for all their work, so that's the only thing that the laptop can do. Otherwise, because they let us know they want to do their homework. I have this, or even my daughter will tell me I'm going on CISO, but you're going on CISO in 1 minute that I went to the toilet and came back. I'm seeing other games on the tablet. Really? I wonder if there's a way the school can set that in place just to help us, because it's heartbreaking that you set all these boundaries at home and everything is working well. Then once they get into year 7, because they have their school laptop now, it seems to be falling apart.
I think a big thing, so there is the school, what do you call it, the school, what do you call it, Wi-Fi, internet,
Firewall.
computer, firewall, yes. There is, when you get given a laptop, there is like access that you can tick. But a big thing is with our teens, they will always find the loopholes. Even if we disengage everything as much as possible, the kids will always still find loopholes. So I know 100% that there was some students that I was working with that found a loophole to be able to join in this group chat, even when it was disengaged on the school computers. So we need to put things in place which the schools do. We need to put things in place with our children in our family home, like I said, the values and the boundaries, but we also need to be educating our kids in a way that benefits them. So things like, if your child doesn't do their homework, and let the school system then take over. So they have to do a lunchtime detention, or they have to do an after-school detention. And sometimes you think, what an inconvenience that my child misses the bus and has to stay after school. On this once occasion, I would go with the school and just go, it's an inconvenience for the teacher to have to stay after school. The teacher doesn't want to be there babysitting your child because they couldn't be bothered handing up their work or doing their work. Their teacher doesn't want to lose their lunchtime to stay in at lunchtime to have to look after your child to make sure they do their homework that they couldn't be bothered doing the night before because they were playing games. So let the school system activate the consequence, and then you as the parent go, well, that was the choice that you made. That was the consequence of your actions. I wouldn't harp on about it, I wouldn't keep on going down because they had to serve the consequence, and 99% of the time the kids go, who cares, didn't want to go out and play basketball lunch anyway, so just meant I got to sit inside. We're trying to find and define attitude as well in your child, as well as teaching them working with their character. So those that are driven with soccer or a sport or something that you can clearly see is a drive for them, I would definitely work with that. How much effort are you putting into that soccer practice? Because you want to go out there and you want to be able to do well. So why do you do that? Ask the child. Why do you want to be good at soccer? Oh, because I just really like it. If you say, well, what in school do you like? They're probably going to say nothing. The whole lot's boring. And what's the point? Because this is pretty big. Well, the point is because there's a lot of foundational things that you learn in school that you don't learn sitting behind your computer or, talking to your friends because they don't actually know. So there's a process. And there's an age-appropriate process. So that's what I'd say with, there is a huge firewall and always being updated because like I said, technology is just advancing way quicker than we can catch up with. But the importance again of talking to one another, asking what's going on. You find out that your child wants to catch up with so-and-so. They want to meet at Marion and go shopping on after school on Wednesday. You're the adults, you're the parents. If you've got access to that person's parent, ring them up and say, hey, I heard our kids want to catch up at Marion after school on Wednesday. And the other parent's probably going to go, oh yeah, I heard about that, yeah, that's fine. And then you go, well, actually my child hasn't been doing their homework and they've been really rude and disrespectful. So I'm going to say no, just giving you the heads up so that when your child goes there and finds out that yours can't go, that this is something that we're implementing behind the scenes. As parents, we have to get more smarter with trying to work out what is the intent of our kids, but at the same time trying to curb their attitude and helping them move into the adult realm. I'm just aware of the time. If you do have to leave, you are most welcome to leave, but I'm going to stay here. If you want to keep on asking questions, I'm going to leave that space if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. In this space I can also talk, we talk about educate, and we have this tiered thing here at Sunrise where they have trolleys in the junior primary and then a one-to-one device in upper primary. So we teach them some of those things that can't go home, but then the next step is that this laptop is going home. Talk about the firewall here at school, but it is parents' responsibility in that sense at home. And I know the difficulty around that, and you most probably spoke about having the devices always in a communal area and never go into the bedrooms. And I think if we do model that as parents as well, it will work really well for them, even though they might not like it. My oldest son, now he's 29 now already, but when he was in year 10, 11, he had some problems with communication with his friends on his phone as well. And we decided, with his permission as well, to just give him a dumb phone instead of a smartphone. And that was just one with buttons. He can contact someone, he can send an SMS, but cannot access content on the go. And to this day, I mean, he found a wife. To this day, he does not have social media. He doesn't know. He doesn't have Facebook. My wife sometimes gets frustrated. She sends him an Instagram message, and then he says, "I can't open it. Why do you send it to me?" So in that regard, we need to educate them. Not that we want to keep all those things from them, but to tell them, hey, there's a real world out there. We say always for the kids, go and touch grass. Go and do the reality stuff out there. Don't think that you have 500 likes here, you have actually 500 friends. Not one of them are your friends. The ones that are in real life, those are your friends. So it is just, we have to keep on talking to them. Don't, teenagers do tend to shy away from things and don't want to talk about it because they think we don't understand it.
Yeah.
But ask questions, but then have a good eye on it. And I would say, if you have a parental control on your child's phone, that's a good way to start. Not that you're going to have it until they're 29, definitely not, but there's a time where you need to have that control over it and then ask questions from there. So, and I hope this session was helpful, and if there are any more questions, if you need to leave, but if you have any more questions, please feel free.
I think I just want to make a comment that it's not just the kids that feel peer pressure, it's the parents as well. And I think as parents, we can actually cooperate with other parents to not spoil the market. In what I'm saying is that I think if there are quite a few of us, I think they are willing to be quite strict on not have kids, sorry, that's my alarm. not have kids do things that they don't want to. But then we feel obliged to let them have whatever it is that they want because we think they tell us everybody else is on it, they think everybody else is on it, but I think there are people who think similarly to us,
100%.
who are willing to not have our kids on it. And then actually I think there would be parents also who are willing not to go on if they didn't feel like that was their only choice for their kids to socialize. So I just feel as parents, if we could, cooperate and kind of like, let's all not go on Discord, Roblox, whatever, and I don't know, we can have more in-person stuff, or your child is welcome, or you as a parent are welcome to organize hang out with my child on my phone, or that's how I feel.
IRL, in real life.
That sort of thing. So that's just kind of how I feel like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I think that word, if a child comes to you and says where everybody else gets it, exactly
That's
right,
not
you just
true.
nailed it. It's not true.
It's not true.
And I think I would just nod my head and go, well, I know not everyone will have, but I wouldn't try and argue because in their mind everyone does.
And I think just in short, if you ask us as a school, why do you do things that we do? We will always have a why. So maybe you just have to get your why ready as well. I had several parents coming to me and say, hey, can we get all the parents together and say, hey, we're going to ban Discord and things like that. That's not our heart. Every parent, and that's why we are in partnership with you, every parent needs to sort out those things for yourself and get the reasons why you think this is not going to work for your child. And not at this age. I mean, you are still developing. You don't know really what to do. You won't give your keys to your Ferrari to your 12-year-old son. So you won't give the keys to the World Wide Web just willy-nilly to a child and say, hey, go and have some fun. So we need to educate.
I think that's where it comes back to the negotiables versus non-negotiables. So it could be, for now it's a no, but I'm open, to have this conversation again. So when it comes up again, please come back. Let's have a talk about it. So that non-negotiable for now, but perhaps this can be a space that we can talk about later. I think that really helps with teens as well, because they go, oh, that's not fair. Yeah, well, it's not fair for now, but it's not a no forever. It's just
Just a question, what is the average age that most kids get devices? Not that I'm interested in
the average
giving
age.
them a device, but every day, the average age, just for interested.
Depends on the family. Nowadays, they're starting at a very young age. I'm seeing a lot of little babies in the shopping trolleys, watching Peppa Pig while their mum does the shopping.
I
And
think
so
it's
one,
where parents need to be educated, because parents don't know how to deal with a tantrum child, and they are so tired.
Yeah.
It's just like keeping them quiet,
Yeah.
because it's so much effort
Easier.
to reroute the thought, getting that child out of that tantrum. And there were days where I was like, oh, wish I could just put on the TV for my child, because I need to get things done.
Yeah.
But I made a decision, and I'm like, I don't care how hard it is for me, because I need to set an example and follow through. And my children I can put in the middle of a program, the TV off, and they run through a tantrum.
Yeah.
My son, I can say, put down the game, and he'll do it, because that's how
establish the value
yeah,
and the
the
boundaries
value
behind.
is-
I don't think I have a ideal age to do that, but if I'm now just thinking outside, because I don't have to deal with that anymore, I would almost say, going back to the dumb phone, if you want to be connected to your child and make sure that they're safe, that's all you need. Give them a dumb phone if they want a phone. But then most probably now that the laws of social media is changing, they only need something like that when they're 16 in any case. So not that I want to put out those ages, you will know when your children are ready, but that's just my personal view.
Yeah, I asked my son when he wanted to get a phone, I was like, what's your need? Why do you want one? And I really listened, and then he'll be like, oh, maybe a game. I'm like, okay, so what game? I'm like, okay, I'll allow this, but there's a device for it, and we can say, you don't need a phone for that. And then in the beginning it was, oh, he just wanted to communicate with the grandparents back home in South Africa. And I'm like, if you want to do it, you can freely come and grab my phone. I won't say no, you can just ask. I won't ask any questions about it. You can call grandma over there. And he was fine for that for a while. And I realized it wasn't really easy.
No. Grandparents probably thought, yes, lots of phone calls.
And then it was, just a need for the next step. And I'm like, that's fine. And then we got a house phone, and I'm like, and he had to ask permission, because I could really regulate it. And then that's how, when he was responsible with that in time, me checking everything, teaching him, listen, the way you said this, that's not right. Because you have to teach them how to do communication over a phone as well, what is acceptable and what not, just as we would have taught them how to be respectful in person.
Yeah.
So then when he got that right, it's like, okay, now we're going to the next step. And he's almost 16, still no social media, still very limited phone access. If we go on holidays, phone is at home, it's really like, well, if you want a photo, we've got my phone.
Yeah.
And he knows, he's not asking things like that.
So Louise, kind of curious, can he message friends on the family phone? Is that what you're saying?
So he does have his own phone now. Again, it's our phone, but we say his phone. But I have, so it's limited to certain things. So I have it with the family sharing of my phone, and I check his phone regularly. So he has access, he can freely now access his friends, but it's in the living area where I can see it. It's not in the rooms or anything. And 2-3 times a week I go through his phone, and he knows it. it's just being one step ahead of them.
Yes.
Always educating, knowing where he is and what his interest is, being one step ahead of him. And then I just put in things he doesn't know, and then he's shocked. Or he's like, oh, you know that? I'm like, yes, I do. And then I give him 3 other facts, and he realized, oh, I can't, tell him something.
And I think I'll end it here, and if there's any personal conversations that you still want to have with Ruth is fine. Leave you with the 3 R's, not writing, reading, writing, arithmetic, but the 3 R's are when you introduce rules without relationship, it leads to rebellion. So that's where the negotiables and the non-negotiables come in. If you don't have that relationship, you can do whatever you want. There's most probably not going to be a good outcome out of that. So before you introduce rules, have the relationship there, else it will just lead to rebellion. But thanks. Any parting words from you? No? Well,
all the very, very best, and keep
Right.
on asking. I
Yeah.
think there is absolutely no shame of going to another parent and say, hey, this is what I've got going on, what do you reckon? And I do it regularly. Often go to my friends and say, I don't know what to do in this. What do you think? And so I do think that's really helpful. So parenting is a hard gig.
great. Well, thank you for your
Thanks so
time.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.